Welcome everyone, this is Julie HR. Welcome to our 5th HR Education Edge weekly update. Today is January 20th, 2025. I'm super excited, so let's get started. Lots of good things to go over today as far as HR trends, news, and also compliance dates. Yes, as mentioned, it is our 5th weekly update. I'm super excited. I'm going to keep you covered as it pertains to HR trends, news, compliance. I want to keep you ahead of the curve. And that's why I publish this particular video every Monday. So you'll want to subscribe and hit like and be sure to get informed of the postings every Monday. So today, what we're going to be going over is we're going to take a look at last week's recap. We're going to look at the upcoming compliance dates, and what better day than today to take a look at the upcoming administration compliance issues that could be coming to the forefront of your HR office. Also, we're going to take a look at employee engagement. This is a module that I have every single week. It's wonderful. We're going to look at 2 of my featured templates to help you out in your organization. And last week we spoke to the top 5 HR trends. And today we're going to focus on skills. So let's get started. As we look back to last week, what did we do? We reviewed the upcoming compliance with H-1B visas. We reviewed onboarding only to find out that most onboarding programs were less than a month and a lot were less than a week. So it's imperative to increase onboarding time, and I would say up to a year. And here is one of my templates, onboarding roadmap, 30, 60, 90 plus day. You have a pre-boarding, you have a pre-boarding section, there's orientation, there's performance, and then there's advancement. So this is a really good template to help you out. And if you don't have a new hire onboarding packet, there's also, I have this in my score, and we went over that last week. Onboarding is very important because it's those first 90 days where an employee decides to stay or to leave your organization. So let's onboard the employees correctly. We also last week went over workforce engagement and looked at on-site workers, hybrid workers, and completely remote workers, and asked which group was most engaged and which group was least engaged. Well, if you said hybrid workers, they are the most engaged. However, those employees that are completely remote are least engaged. And that's why this week I created Managing a Remote Team for Managers. So it is a brand new listing within my Etsy store. I'm trying to save time for people in creating processes and procedures and create training lessons for managers to help you out in your HR journey. We also discussed the 2 key templates last week were the mentorship program toolkit. I cannot say enough great things about this toolkit. It's a great toolkit to implement, especially during these times where you have 4 or 5 generations of employees in your workforce. Also, we went over the manager toolkit bundle, which is a wealth of knowledge and insight for your managers to help them out from meetings to one-on-ones to conflict resolution across the board. As far as top priorities, we discussed those last week. We discussed challenges for managers feeling overwhelmed and needing training, hence my many manager training bundles on my website. And we also discussed the generational shift, how Gen Z now makes up 20% of the U.S. labor force, surpassing baby boomers. There is a definite shift in the labor market, and that's all we will be discussing skills at the end. All right, so let's move on to compliance. Congress on December the 17th, the Ways and Means Committee, employers have less Affordable Care Act reporting requirements. As you see for the upcoming compliance dates on the HR calendar of key events, there are a lot of different forms that need to be delivered to employees, to include the ACA forms, 1095 and 1095C delivered to employees, right? Okay. So those two items may or may not have already gone out from maybe your broker, your insurance broker or whatnot. I know I've already received mine and whatnot. So there are some changes, and I'm going to zoom out and actually go to this Word document. And I will leave a link to the Word document since it's fairly long, and I don't want to read it all out. But more or less, these two laws were, the first one was enacted, the Paperwork Burden Reduction Act. So employers are no longer required to send the 1095B and C to covered individuals unless a form is requested. However, employers must inform covered individuals of their right to request a form. If a 1095C tax form is requested, it must be furnished to the individual by January 30th or 30 days after the date. Okay, so essentially the IRS allows the 1095B form to be available to individuals only upon request and extends the same flexibility to the 1095C form. Okay. The Employer Reporting Improvement Act, this was the second one that went into effect on December the 17th. And as mentioned, employers were previously required to provide each individual with a 1095B or C, and you would typically use the individual's tax ID number, right? Additionally, if a large employer, one with 50 or more employees, received a proposed assessment from the IRS, the employer only had 30 days to respond. So, if there's an assessment from the IRS, it has now been extended to 90 days. Also, the date of birth can be substituted for the tax ID number. All right. So with that being said, I'll put a link within the description so you can look at this if you are actually the one who is sending these out to your employees. Okay. All right. Also top of mind, okay, we have, happy Martin Luther King Day and happy Inauguration Day. It is the 20th. And you'll see that file forms W-2 with Form W-3 with Social Security Administration. Quarterly forms 941, 944, and 722. And you can take a look at that. And those are some of the key dates. But a major one, and your payroll probably does this, or maybe your brokers. So also prepare on the 1st, this needs to be posted, the 300A of all the injuries and accidents that went on within your workplace needs to be posted up on a bulletin board so everyone can see. So, and it'll be kept up there for a couple months. Okay, so what better date than Inauguration Day to go over some new administration compliance consideration. All right, first and foremost, there is going to be immigration enforcement. I don't know if you've ever had your workplace an ICE agent come along and who is a federal employee who wants to, audit your I-9s. But if you haven't, you need to understand how to deal with that ICE agent. You can actually tell, and I'll put a link, also make a note to put a link, the ICE agent who's there to come and see to make sure that all your employees are legal, you can tell them to come back. Yes, you can tell them to come back. So perhaps the lady at who works at the front desk, the receptionist, she needs to understand how to deal with this ICE agent. Also, with this immigration enforcement, you need to ensure that your I-9s have been recently audited. I'm sure you are a top-notch HR professional, and I'm sure that they are compliant, but make sure your I's are dotted and your T's are crossed and there are no issues, okay? Because there are going to be some, in workforce audits. Okay, and with that being said, we're going to take a look at a screenshot from one of the, well, not screenshots, but a website from one of the attorney groups I used to work with when I worked in the corporate world. Top workplace immigration predictions for 2025, and everyone needs to know this if you don't already. Heightened immigration enforcement. And as you know, there's going to be more scrutiny of worker authorization and visa programs. So trying to get employees in via the visa programs, it's going to take time, and I'm not sure how long it'll take, and there's going to be a lot of scrutiny. So that's why we're going to be discussing skills, because it's going to be really hard to get, some H-1B to come work with your organization if need be. Mandatory e-verify, and there's just a heightened immigration enforcement. President-elect Trump promised to focus on immigration enforcement, and his announcement that former acting director, Tom Homan, would serve as a new border czar. So there's going to be more scrutiny of work authorization and visa programs. So these are things that you need to make note of, and also make sure, and I assume, most of you already have, and if you have more than one employee, you need to be doing e-verify. That is super easy to do and to set up. Okay. And I will also put the link to Fisher Phillips in the description. But these are two items that are, top of mind within the Trump administration. Okay. All right. These were some items that actually were discussed during the campaign, such as tax exemption for tips. I'm not sure if that's going to come to fruition. Okay. But I will keep you updated. The Trump administration also promised a tax exemption for overtime pay. Of course, that's the campaign. It's got to go through a lot of legal processes to actually take place, but I'll keep you updated. But right now, you need to ensure your I-9s are audited, hands down, and make sure you understand how to deal with an ICE agent should one show up at your employment office. They're not people that you should be scared of. I've actually had one show up, and you deal with them and you show them the I-9s, and you're all clear, and you just have to make sure they're just doing their job. And every other administration has done that, but the workforce, you do not want to get fined. That's the big thing. You don't want to get fined for having workers who are not supposed to be there. Okay. This is also a great time. A lot of you are doing reviews at the beginning of the year, and I'm going to move this, and hopefully it doesn't. Yep, it did move it. Okay, hold on. Let's go back. Just right here. It's a great time to ensure compliance with job descriptions. As mentioned, a lot of you are doing reviews. Now's the time to understand and let the managers know that when they are doing a review with their employees, to pay attention to the job description, because it may need to be updated. There are a lot of employees that have put on more hats than maybe what their job description says. And who knows, they may need to be classified in a different way because their duties are different, and they may need to be exempt. Who knows? But this is a great time to ensure compliance with your job descriptions, because I know a lot of you are doing performance reviews at the beginning of the year. Okay. Okay, employee engagement focus. All right, so coming up on the 24th is National Compliment Day. What is your plan? What is your plan? This is a great opportunity to reach out to your employees and do something special for them. Whether it's an action that maybe you have the managers compliment the employee compliment the managers. Really think about it. It's a great opportunity, and it's on the 24th. Or maybe, if you look at my engagement calendar, employee engagement calendar, it says employees will share compliments on a virtual or post-it wall. So don't forget about your virtual employees. And I'll tell you what, it would be a great time to, generate some employee engagement and actually send out some really nice compliments to your remote workers. Okay. All right. So I also wanted to speak to engage employees. I'm always thinking about different ways, and I want to give you as many good ideas as I can so you can implement them within your organization. I've done a lot of these. I've come up with a lot of these ideas, and they've worked. And I've also been reading about a lot of different ideas. I know within the workforce there are benefits. Health insurance, 401k. A lot of employees are really into understanding financial wellness. They want to understand their financial health. And that is something that a lot of employers are starting to do. Now, when I was at an organization, I would always bring a 401k rep to come in and set up appointments and meet with employees to discuss their, retirement and financial future. I also brought a bank in. I knew that a lot of employees actually, they didn't have maybe a savings account. And I knew that if they opened a particular savings account, I partnered up with the bank, and then the bank was able to, if they opened up an account, I think maybe $100, $200 were put into the savings account. So little financial benefits, whether it's financial education. I know a lot of the baby boomers, they definitely want to make sure that they're squared away. And then you have those that are, Generation Z, who are wanting to buy a house and they're wanting to boost their credit score. So I challenge you and engage your employees. Find out, do they want to know more about their financial wellness? You've got your physical wellness, but it's very important for employees to thrive within the workforce and be productive, knowing that their financial house is in order. And it's going to be great if you, the HR leader in your organization, bring that to them. By the end of 2026, nearly half of employers are expected to offer a comprehensive financial wellness program, according to Transamerica. And in comparison from 2023, I think, to 2024, I think 24% employers are doing it. So they're bringing in financial resources, people to speak to their employees about their financial situation. Okay. Importance of employee development and engagement. Okay. For those who don't know, and I'm actually going to read this out of the Harvard Business Review. It's very important. I'll read it in just a second. It's just in the book. It's in the book entitled Performance Management. But employees, they want to be developed, and it's up to you to put things out there to develop them, provide them opportunities to get new skills, to get those leadership skills. It's up to you to understand what they want to learn, what are their passions. That means so much to employees. So with that being said, you need to look at perhaps utilizing a leadership development template, especially for your managers, so they can look at skill development. And I'm actually going to, let's see, not go to that. I'm going to go back really quick, and I'm going to come out of this, but I'm going to zoom in just a bit. We can look at this template because I know it goes over skills, and I know we'll be talking about skills in just a little while. So skill development, action plan, expected outcomes, and time frame. So if you don't already have like an individual development plan template, or a career development template, or a leadership development template, start thinking about what you can implement, and that's easy to implement. There are a lot of different forms. I've got a couple of different formats on my site, but here's a leadership development one, and I actually have verbiage in there where the skill here is mentoring proficiency, enroll in relevant courses or workshops, develop team member skills through mentoring, takes 4 to 6 months. So going back to employee engagement, it is key as HR leaders, as I know you are, to develop your employees. Okay. Let's just hold on just a second. And maybe you already are. And that is very important in this day and age. Okay. So moving on to featured templates. The featured templates today are the employee skills inventory form, and it is very simplistic. It is key in this day and age with what's going on, in the labor force, for you to understand the skills that your employees have. You also need to maybe get with management and lead in your executive team and find out what are some skills that are going to be needed in the future first. Find out what the organization as a whole is going to need. And then you, as that strategic HR leader, find those individuals who have those skills. If they don't have those skills, can they get those skills? It's up to you to be that visionary HR leader and lead your organization. And skills and understanding the skills your employees have and what the organization needs is immeasurable. Also, leadership skill development. This is an Excel sheet that I put out not too long ago. It has the key not HR skills, but leadership skills like emotional intelligence. Yes. And then there's the plan or whatnot. And I found a lot of people have really liked that. It's pretty straightforward, and there's drop downs and whatnot, but it's a leadership skills development. So say there's, there's a brand new manager and he really wants to jump on getting, learning some skills and becoming a better manager and leader. This will guide you very easily. Okay. All right, focus on skills. I've read through so many books and websites this week and listened to so many different speakers. And, as mentioned right here, it is imperative for upskilling and reskilling. The Society for HR Management highlights that upskilling and reskilling are essential strategies for organizations to bridge skill gaps within their workforce. By investing in these initiatives, companies can ensure their employees remain relevant and competitive in an era marked by rapid digitization and technological advancements. Now, you may not really understand this, but you might. but we are in an environment where things are about in the next 4 to 5 years to change very, very quickly. So it's going to be up to you as an HR leader to understand that and also bring upskilling and reskilling to your workforce. I'm going to also mention, yes, there's a shift from degrees to skills. There's a growing movement towards valuing skills over formal degrees. Programs like 110 are connecting non-degree professionals with top employers, reflecting a broader shift in U.S. hiring practices. And you as an HR professional, while you are in your day-to-day where you might be a department of one with paperwork up to your eyeballs, you've got to find time to find out what's going on within the workforce across the board, because it will impact your organization, and it's going to be so important for you to understand. Companies such as IBM, Aon, and General Motors are leading this change, aiming to expand employment opportunities and wages, especially for minorities. So that's great. There's also, as far as interviewing, people are interviewing they're doing skill interviews. It's different. So we will look at that next week on how to interview using skills. Okay. Economic benefits of reskilling. ADP reports that hiring a new external employee is 6 times more expensive than reskilling existing talent, highlighting the cost effectiveness of internal workforce development. So now is the time, when you get some breathing room, to really take a step back and look at focusing on skills within your organization to make it that organization that can be competitive, that can thrive during these changing times. Also, with that being said, I know the times are challenging. There are 5 different generations of workers in the environment, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. The younger workers can learn from the older workers, and the older workers, they are a wealth of knowledge. They may not know all the ins and outs of the latest and greatest technology, but they are a very valuable part of the workforce. And having these baby boomers leave, it's going to leave a gap, and we need to gather the knowledge through a mentoring program or whatnot to bring to the forefront. So focus on skills, and next week we'll talk about interviewing for skills. So that'll be something different to talk about. So I hope everyone has a wonderful, we'll go to the last page. Watch it fly away. Be sure, as mentioned, to go to my YouTube and subscribe and have this every week. I also put my latest templates up there on my Etsy store and actually show you guys how to use them. The manager workbooks, the onboarding spreadsheets, the onboarding bundles, the new hire bundles, the manager bundle, the workforce safety bundle. So that is in my Etsy store. So also find me on Instagram, and then I also have a website that tells you a little bit about my consulting practice. So it doesn't go into anything too terribly deep, but you're welcome to go there. So thank you so much for joining today, and have a great week. And I will put the links that I mentioned in the description as far as the compliance with the ACA, and also the Phillips Fisher website that discusses immigration enforcement in the workplace. Keeping you compliant every week. Thank you so much. This is Julie HR. Until next time.